From what I can tell, Walter, almost no actual friends. They don't know Gail King.
Not everyone was swept away by Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez's lavish Venetian wedding. While the billionaire couple soaked up their fairy tale moment, Megyn Kelly was busy on her show, tearing the entire affair to pieces. And honestly, it's hard to blame her. This wedding was extravagance, turned up to 11, foam parties on a mega yacht, non-stop champagne toasts, designer outfits galore, and romantic boat rides through Italy like they were filming some over-the-top Netflix rom-com.
They had the ship, their yacht, which has its own yacht, carting them around with their massive amounts of foam dripping into the Mediterranean, which I'm sure is not eco-friendly.
But here's the thing, Megyn Kelly wasn't impressed at all.
These two were behaving like
move. But Megyn Kelly, she wasn't having any of it. These two are acting like they think they're actual royalty, she scoffed. She didn't hold back when it came to the glittering guest list. According to Megyn, it wasn't some heartfelt gathering of loved ones, more like a curated collection of Hollywood elites, most of whom probably couldn't even tell you the couple's middle names. Megyn and her guest, Maureen Callahan, weren't pulling any punches. On Friday's episode, they went all in, dissecting everything from the couple's over-the-top PDA to why they believe this marriage is a ticking time bomb. Yep, Megyn said out loud, what a lot of people are probably thinking. This whole spectacle feels like a performance, and chances are it won't stand the test of time. The guest list was pure A-list overload. Gail King rolled in, naturally, with Oprah floating alongside her like the queen of the whole event. Megyn didn't hold back. How does Gail King return to CBS Mornings and pretend to be a serious journalist while rubbing shoulders with this crowd? Meanwhile, the Kardashians descended on Venice, seemingly in a race to snag the ultimate wedding selfie. Tom Brady showed up, looking as smug as ever. Leonardo DiCaprio made a low-key entrance. And Usher? He popped in just to add a dash of R&B flair. Oh, and for that final royal flex, Queen Rania of Jordan made an appearance too. Megyn, of course, wasn't having it. On her show, she called out the entire spectacle, throwing major shade at the billionaire couple. In true savage Megyn style, she compared their wedding to Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's celebrity-packed bash. This is exactly what Meghan and Harry did. The bigger your name, the more likely you were to get an invite. But behind all this star power, Megyn saw emptiness. She believed Bezos, with all his billions, could have easily surrounded himself with people who actually mattered. And Walter Kim agreed. Everybody looked tacky. As you say, the guest list seemed to have been chosen by a PR firm. Where was his little league coach? His favorite professor? You know, the guy who stuck with him? Friends who loved him before he became the Amazon overlord? Instead, it looked like the only way onto that exclusive guest list was to have a name that sparkled in headlines. And if you think that was savage, wait for this. Megyn set her sights on Euphoria bombshell, Sydney Sweeney. Sydney Sweeney, the new toast of the town out there, because she's got these enormous that everybody's obsessed with. How does she wind up there? While the world gasped at how stunning Sydney looked at the wedding, Megyn rolled her eyes. She suggested Sydney didn't snag that golden invite because of her acting chops, but because everyone was obsessed with her banging body, especially her chest. According to Megyn, that's what really got her into Bezos and Sanchez's billionaire fairy tale bash. But the question here is, what was Sweeney really doing there? Well, according to an insider, she wasn't there out of friendship. The source spilled that Sydney is set to star in an upcoming Amazon MGM Studios movie, meaning she was simply paying her respects to the boss. Megyn saw it for what it was. Old-school Hollywood politics, dressed up as a glamorous wedding invite. Now Megyn probably thought she was dropping hot tea when she dragged Sydney Sweeney over her appearance. But turns out, the internet wasn't here for her brand of savage, and now the backlash is coming in strong. After OK Magazine reposted Megyn's biting comments about Sydney on Instagram, all hell broke loose in the comment section. Fans couldn't believe how far Megyn went, and they wasted no time letting her know exactly what they thought. One fan called her out for being downright bitter, saying they'd never heard anyone so negative in their life. Even journalists had a bone to pick with her. Let me just say to Megyn Kelly, in my 30-some years as a journalist and my 50-some years as a person of color, go fuck yourself. They also added that she probably needed a lot of love because she must be miserable with herself. Another person didn't hold back either, labeling Megyn as a hateful individual with a severe malfunction and suggesting she seek professional counseling. Megyn Kelly, very good at picking targets, loves a fight, right? It helps her. That's what she is. But it didn't stop there. Someone else described Megyn as a poor excuse for a woman, accusing her of being so desperate for fame and relevance that her entire brand was now built on attacking and degrading other women. They ended it with a word that stung harder than any headline: pathetic. Meanwhile, it looks like Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez's wedding wasn't everyone's idea of a fairy tale. While the billionaire couple floated through Venice, some celebs were busy sharpening their claws, and the jabs were brutal. Mia Farrow took the classy route with her shade, throwing a spotlight on someone she clearly thinks is the real queen, Bezos' ex-wife, Mackenzie Scott. Posting on Instagram, Mia gushed about how amazing Mackenzie is. Not only that, but she reminded everyone that as of December 2024, Scott had donated a jaw-dropping $19.3 billion to over 1,600 charities. Then came Charlize Theron, who didn't hold back her savage humor at her Charlize Theron Africa Outreach Project block party. Smirking to the crowd, she joked that they were probably the only people in the world who didn't get an invite to Bezos and Sanchez's wedding, but quickly added that it was totally fine because, in her words, they're cool. At her Africa Outreach event, she ripped into the entire spectacle, slamming the couple for flaunting their obscene wealth at a time when the world was falling apart. Then reminded everyone that while billionaires were throwing decadent parties with A-list guests, everyday people were watching their rights disappear and their lives crumble. Here in Los Angeles, in the US, and across the globe, we're moving backward fast, she told the crowd, her voice dripping with cold fury. She called out harsh immigration policies destroying families, the rollback of women's rights, the erasure of queer and trans lives, and the rise in gender-based violence. And apparently Bezos didn't take too kindly to her words. According to Celebrity Insider Rob Shooter, Bezos was fuming when he heard what Charlize said about his lavish wedding. Sánchez, meanwhile, was ready to unleash her wrath on Instagram, but had to be talked down from publicly attacking the South African actress. But the billionaire couple didn't stop there. Shooter's report claims Charlize has now been officially banned from all future Bezos-Sánchez events. This includes Blue Origin space launches and any glittering charity galas the couple throws. Meghan McCain also joined the takedown squad. On her Citizen McCain podcast, she called the wedding a complete waste of money. She slammed it as an egregious display of gratuitous wealth, at a time when billionaires like Bezos are under fire for not paying their fair share of taxes. Because behind the glam wedding was the ugly truth about Amazon's working conditions. This is a company infamous for workers reportedly urinating in bottles just to meet impossible targets, being denied the right to unionize for better pay and safety. Many people also couldn't believe the jaw-dropping rumored price tag, over $20 million for a single wedding. Their Venice nuptials were nothing short of an opulent spectacle. Sánchez floated through the celebrations in multiple designer dresses that reportedly cost over $1 million combined. Their hotel bookings alone neared $900,000, while catering soared past $1 million. And that's before you even factor in the cost of security teams, fleets of luxury boats and cars, and entertainment fit for literal royalty. Quality and elitism. Some used all the attention to lament high housing costs, damage from over-tourism, and just the excess of it all. As the couple toasted their sacred vows with champagne showers, many were left wondering how could anyone justify that, especially knowing the reality of Amazon's underpaid workers. But that's still not even the worst part. Remember the guest list? It wasn't just who attended, but how they got there. Over 90 private jets flew in these celebrities, completely trashing any claims about supporting climate-conscious ventures. Leonardo DiCaprio, in particular, got roasted by fans. There he was, waltzing into the wedding in a black baseball hat, acting all casual. But people couldn't help but point out the hypocrisy. How can someone preach about sustainability and saving the planet, only to hop on a private jet to party with a man whose carbon footprint is bigger than some entire countries? They're worried about climate change. They're worried about the impact that massive businesses, like Bezos' Amazon company, have on the environment. Meanwhile, in Venice, residents weren't exactly rolling out the red carpet. The city erupted in protests, slamming the billionaire's presence with huge banners, floating effigies of Bezos, and a fiery "No Space for Bezos" campaign. This wedding, Greenpeace and Extinction Rebellion staged protests. Local Venetians didn't want their city overrun by tourists. Their message was clear. They've had enough of over-tourism destroying their home, and they definitely don't want a tax-dodging billionaire treating their canals like his personal playground. And here's the thing that has everyone boiling with rage. Bezos reportedly pays a measly 1.1% tax rate. That's right. The man who spent over $20 million on a single wedding pays less in taxes than the average working-class person struggling to afford rent. It's this loophole-loaded system that lets him hoard his wealth and throw such an extravagant wedding, while millions around the world scrape by with nothing. But here's what made it even more laughable. As Bezos was clinking champagne glasses on a mega yacht, New York City mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani was being labeled a threat to U.S. democracy. Why? Simply because he was proposing socialist policies that tax the rich to help everyday people. The contrast couldn't be starker. Sure, some defenders popped up online, arguing that it's Bezos' money, and he can spend it however he wants. But that argument crumbles fast when you remember this money was built off the backs of warehouse workers peeing in bottles to keep up with inhumane targets. Meanwhile, Maureen Callahan summed up what many were feeling about the entire wedding vibe. To her, it felt like a freak show, aggressively pointing the middle finger at the rest of us just trying to survive. She found Sanchez's cartoonish performance especially cringe, describing it as her bouncing around with pneumatic in a very over-the-top display. I mean, it is like bouncing around with her pneumatic, and it's just disgusting. Megyn Kelly couldn't agree more. The foam parties, the PDA, and the yacht smacks were caught on camera. None of it felt accidental to her. In fact, she's convinced Bezos and Sánchez call the paparazzi to capture these candid yacht moments. According to Megyn, it's all deliberate, a carefully staged Marie Antoinette moment to show off their untouchable wealth. It's the same thing as like fanning out your money, and with a middle finger in front of it for the paparazzi. They and us, that's who they call the paparazzi. I am 100% convinced. Of course, Megyn has never been known for sugarcoating her opinions, but her latest takedown of Bezos and Sánchez was next-level savage. She took one look at Bezos' wedding day appearance and basically said the transformation from his Amazon garage days to his current billionaire aesthetic wasn't exactly an upgrade. According to Megyn, his new look is just not it. Your yacht has a yacht to hold all your toys, and also, I'm told, Lauren Sanchez's weird girl pals, who he doesn't want on the main yacht. And then, on top of that, you risk spoiling your yacht with a bunch of foam. I went to a party one time years ago where they had foam in a huge swimming pool. Outdoors, by the way, in Texas. It was super fun. That didn't pose any risk. We were outdoors. This is on a yacht. I just feel like the excessiveness of it is meant It's the same thing as like fanning out your money, with a middle finger in front of it for the paparazzi. They and us. That's who it is because they call the paparazzi. I am 100% convinced. I was just telling Paul Murray, when I did his show on Sky News, I was just on a boat for a week in Greece. You know why I didn't get photographed on the boat in Greece? Because I didn't go call the paparazzi and say, "Hey, I'm on a boat in Greece. Come take my picture." There is a reason these two always happen to get shot while on their yacht. Same with J-Lo. Have you ever missed a J-Lo appearance on a yacht? Never. We just happened to see him smacking her ass. We just happened to see the foam party. So they want us to be looking at this Maureen, which is a real middle finger with the money splayed out, Marie Antoinette moment. Well, later I want to hear all about your Greece trip via boat. But the thing that... So I also believe that this is... I columned on it for the Mail the other day, and I called it Jeff Bezos's big fat incel wedding. Because, according to her, so much of this has always been, ever since he split with